And one of the comments that has been made too is if you look at the list of properties that are on the judicial sale, you'll notice that Sunbury is now coming up as only having maybe 1 or 2 or 3 properties compared to other municipalities and townships in our area. And that's because we were able to tackle a lot of those truly blighted properties that their only true potential was to be an empty lot to be used for a side yard or parking. We're getting beyond that now and actually being able to save properties, and these developers are coming back in and saying, please, can you keep feeding us more? We want to rehabilitate the properties. So that's where we're getting beyond the demolition and into the rehab.
So then what's the idea of posting these homes like water shut off, letting people know that there's no occupation there? Because you also see when that occurs, that people randomly are helping to blight that property. Case in point, here on South.
The city does not post that. That's the municipal authority. If the water's turned off and so forth, that's the function.
But then other postings that are on there, who does those different postings?
Well, the code may.
Well, and we get to a point too where the city council acts as a board of health, and it's sort of it's the very first step of eminent domain proceedings that allow us to acquire the property. We have to determine that it's a public nuisance, and that might be what your reference is. That we post a notice that says you must mitigate the blighted conditions. That's beyond being just vacant though. That's if you're not up to code, if you're if your porch is falling off, or there's unsafe conditions, or it's not sanitary, then we post a public notice that it's become a public nuisance, and that's where the city council acts as the board of health to say this is it goes beyond just being, cut your grass. It is now becoming a public safety issue. That also allows us to then go to the judge and say, well, the code office has tried, the property owners had 10 days to remedy it, or even just speak up, which most of them don't. And then we file documents with the court to proceed to take the property. But we have to do that first step. So that might be what you're talking about from the city standpoint. But the water, municipal authority,
because that
all
just
the
seems,
utilities, they all act individually.
These properties that the redevelopment authority is targeting, some of these have been abandoned for years. The floors are rotted out. They're full of garbage. The conditions are unbelievable. If you lived in that neighborhood, you would be upset. And so, I mean, these aren't something where somebody just moved out and happens to be vacant for a few months. This is stuff that has been long-term, and the problem is to tear one of those down with legal fees and demolition fees. We're looking at about $20,000 to tear one house down. So you say, oh, I got $100,000. Yeah, it only takes 5 houses down. So money gets turned over pretty quick.
okay, well, the reason I'm asking is because I've watched that home on South 4th Street. I don't know what the address is, but it has the silo-like.
Oh, 116 South 4th?
That might be correct.
It's currently in the court system.
Because it just seems that since those postings have been on that home, you see now the torn screens and different things like that, that invites people to come in and further.
And Mike, I speak to, they definitely secure the property. We've actually had the judge walk through that property already. We have oral argument on it coming up here in February. I think it's February 4th, but I don't remember off the top of my head. It's early February. But when we walked through, you could see the postings of where the code office, every time they go in, they post when it's secured. And to the degree we can, we try to secure it. But we're kind of up to the timeline of the court at that point, because in that case, the bank that owned the property objected to the taking. And actually, it was curious because the attorney for the bank, when they showed up for that court hearing, it was the first time they'd ever seen the property. That was the first time they ever really understood that there was something wrong with the property. And they had to walk through the property with the judge, where the judge was pointing out, well, why is this falling apart, and why is there a dead bat over here, and why, why is there feces through the house? The things that we're looking at from a public health and safety issue.
Well, I can understand that point, but it just seems as though posting it
and see,
for view, it just
Well, on the
invite.
standpoint of posting it,
It's a notice.
on the standpoint of posting it, it gives us, the police, because we're having a lot of people becoming what we call flop houses, where people break into the home,
Right.
and if they're not posted like they're required to, then we have no standing on arresting them for trespassing and stuff like that.
Right,
So
and-
they have to post them, so when they post them, that way, we're getting a call, hey, there's somebody in this abandoned house. We know there shouldn't be there.
And by
Yeah.
statute, we have to post them too in order to give notice to anybody in the world that may have an interest in the property rights, to that property, before the city is granted possession. So I think it's just part of the process.
It just seems to lead to the,
And that's why we try to do it as
Yeah, I
quickly as
understand what you're saying.
possible. Yeah.
That's why when we get a lot, we try to tell people if they're not on our list, let us know right away if we missed one. So they're on that list and make sure we get that priority, keep moving them up on top of the list.
okay.
Julie, answering your first question, the determination of whether a house is going to be rehabbed or torn down is, a good example is 116 South 10th Street and 314 South 3rd Street. We physically will go through those properties, even with a third party, to make an estimate what it would be to bring it up to code. And then look at what the potential value of that property would be in that area, maybe what a fair market value would be. And if it costs more to fix that up than what you're gonna get for it, then it becomes a target to be torn down. And there are special funds available just for demolition of properties. That's why these two properties, a lot of time was spent on these. We had a third-party consultant come in with us, go through these properties, and that's why, but there was a certain amount of money that could be used for tearing property down, and it has to be used by a certain time. And we just got into that end of it, and that's county money that's doing that. So, and I think if anything is resolved out of that, other than, for lack of a better way to put it, a parking lot, then the monies that's made off of that goes back into that fund. It does not come back to the city.
Okay, all right, thank you all.
No problem. Any other questions? Yes, ma'am.
Regina Russell, Community Leader. Good evening, Mr. Mayor and Council. I have a couple of questions, please, that I would like to kind of follow up from last year when I mentioned some issues that I felt we were having. As a member of the public and taxpayer, I would like to know if everyone on the city council signed their oath of office, and is it a sworn statement? Can you show me by show of hands if you did or you didn't?
If we signed our oath of, like when we were elected, when we were sworn in.
Yes, and when you, hopefully in January, when the new year comes in, that you're still sworn back into office.
They only do it when you're new.
Yeah,
When you go for
we were
election,
sworn
the only time
in,
you get sworn in.
when I was sworn into office last January, I took an oath of office.
Yeah, we all did that at election time. You only do it at election time.
And you signed in a certificate.
Yeah, just a piece of paper that says, raise your right hand, yeah.
Yeah, that's referred to as an oath of office. I would like to request that you make them available at the next meeting for the public to be able to glance at. And is there an ethics code you are required as elected officials to follow? And do each of you know what it is?
There's ethics, the state of Pennsylvania has an ethics code, yes. Third class city, I believe, has an ethics. You don't know? I mean, there's books on ethics. Are you looking for a
Does it mean that
statement, or what are you
everybody
looking for?
knows what they are, Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
Regarding the monthly bills, for interested parties of the public to review, I recommend that in the future, we practice bringing those bills in to demonstrate the council's transparency and competency of your oath of office as elected officials, so that,
Right, here they are.
thank you, sir. Well, no one knows that,
They're here
so,
every meeting. So if
okay,
anybody has any questions at any meeting,
And
I
can
have
look
them
at
here
them.
at every meeting.
thank you.
We get them by email because we don't want to print all that paper up and waste it.
Were any reimbursements made for expenses like mileage, lodging, meals, membership, and organizations made to the council members in the last 3 months? Do you recall?
Out of the last 3 months, the last time that I'm aware, several council members did attend the Pennsylvania League of Municipalities Convention last summer in Philadelphia, and they had travel expense to the convention and back.
So those will be
But we don't
available?
we don't pay any regular mileage or anything like that. If they're using their personal vehicle on city business, that just comes out of their pocket. We have no expense accounts.
No expense accounts. Are council members allowed to use city vehicles for personal use, or have a city vehicle haul personal things, or make deliveries for them?
We do not use personal, city vehicles for personal use. We all have our own vehicles. I'm not saying that there would ever be a time, but that's not a routine practice. And I'm not aware that it's been done.
Has the council ever extended an invitation to the high school students to attend council meetings?
Ever attend?
Yeah, have you ever extended an invitation?
I've met with high school students on, like, I remember one time we had a bunch of them up here where we talked about smoking, it was a couple of weeks, but did we ever send them a letter asking them to come to every council meeting? I'm not aware of that, no.
Would you mind if I extended myself to do that?
Anybody, these are all public meetings, we always ask people to come to our meetings.
Okay. And I have an announcement if anyone is interested. The Atlantic and College Board for 2015 is offering to high school students, they're giving a writing contest. And they're looking to recognize the best teenage essay writers with cash prizes and a chance to get published. The cash prizes will be up to $5,000. And if they're interested, they can go to a website, www.collegebord.org/writing-prize. The theme will be important documents from U.S. history. So I hope that someone from Sunbury can try to do that and have one of the teachers at the school, look at it before they submit it.
Have you taken that to any school board meetings, give that information?
No, sir, I just got it today.
That would be, if you take that to school, then it would have direct access to the kids the very next
Yeah,
morning.
that's why I wanted to ask your permission if I could reach out and do
Sure,
that.
yep.
All right, thank you very much.
You're welcome. Anything else? Megan? Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Victoria Rosencrantz. I sort of started the Save the Prison right after the fire, and this group is to actually bring the citizens, and we have like 1,500 people that are concerned about the prison and what's going to happen with that. Now, I know that that is a county thing, and I'm in close contact with her shop and dealing with that, but there is an outpour of community that really would like to see that property, regardless of, as we get through the feasibility study and things like that. But, and I think my understanding is, Mr. Mayor, that you made a statement that you would like, one, if they rebuild or whatever, we would like that prison to stay in the city of Sunbury. And that our focus really is to make sure that if that property, my understanding is that an engineer has been there and it's not deemed unsafe, basically we're looking to preserve that piece of history in the city of Sunbury. And I'm not sure what the city council's feeling is on that, but I think this is a time, and I've been trying to keep everyone one step at a time, one day at a time, because they're asking me a lot of questions that I can't answer, county commissioners can't answer. Linda's office is staying in close contact with me. Everyone's been really helpful with this, and I'm just sort of telling the citizens to, take a deep breath, because, right away tempers get flaring and accusations are made, and I haven't spoke other than on behalf of myself and what I'd like to see there, but, and so I guess my question is, because they're asking me, what is the city council's feeling on the prison and preservation of that if they don't feel that they can build up on that property or whatever?
Well, just let me say one thing. I started out, and it's tough sometimes to reach out to Mr. Clausy.
I agree. I've called
That's
him
all I
every day.
really did, is reach out to him and say, if there's anything we can do and work with you, we're more than willing to do that. We want that prison to stay in the city of Sunbury, we want that site to be reused, and that's pretty much, from there it went into directions that I never intended it to go.
Exactly.
So, yeah, I believe there's nobody in this room that recognizes the historic value of that property, there's no question about that. But you're right, what you said originally, it is owned by the county, they're gonna have the final decision. All we can do is just keep, again, open arms, say, listen, we're gonna help you whatever we can, what can we do to get it done? And when that time comes, when then you make a decision, then, you know, we'll be here to talk about it at the same time. We don't really have a lot of options right now to do, other than just keep telling them we wanna work with them. I know I've talked to Rick about it, and the code officer work with them, so it's not a matter of anything that we're doing. And I can understand there's probably a lot of new rules and regulations that might not work, but that is by far our biggest historic spot in the city of Sunbury. I mean, talk about the Hotel Edison, but it's a very unique situation as it is, and we have a lot of history in the city. So it'd be nice to be able to save it for something, and it'd be nice to keep the prison right there, to be honest with you.
Right, and I think this is, you know, one of the things I talked about was, I think this is a time where, you know, the citizens of Sunbury, and even people that that have grown up here and don't live here anymore, have contacted me, and so what I'm trying to say, you know, they're having some pride in their city, and I think that's great, and I'm encouraging that, and so we're gonna continue to be a voice, just as I'm here tonight, and I know that city council, but just to know that I'm out there and going to continue to be at commissioner meetings, you know, prison board meetings, and to let them know that we're here, we're watching, we're listening, and, you know, we're gonna hold the county accountable to make the best decision for that property. Okay.
Right. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
I appreciate it. If you have meetings, and like I said, all we want them to know is if there's a problem, we want to be able to see if we can help with
Sure.
it somehow.
Absolutely, and I will definitely contact you. You know, we have another meeting coming up here on February 16th, and, you know, so we had 16 people show up at the last meeting, which was wonderful. Like I said, there's a lot of good ideas out there, and I think we all could agree that something could happen there, and something good for the city, so, thank you.
Carol?
I'm just speaking on behalf of some members of the Cape Town Crime Watch, and we very much support keeping the prison in the city. If it can't be where it is now, maybe another site, maybe the Moran site, wherever, but we would like to see the job stay here in town.
The ironic thing about it is it's not, you know, we have no.
I know, we have nothing to say, but I guess it's been in the paper that the people of Sunbury don't want the prison. And I thought maybe we should go on record as saying that some of us do.
Yes,
absolutely.
And we're not trying to make any kind of conflicts. What we're trying to do is look out for what is
Right.
the best for the city as far as some knee-jerk reactions that were about, were in the paper and stuff like that. We weren't gonna let anybody do anything to that building until we had everybody clear it. And that's why I said what I said, which got taken a little bit different in the
Yeah,
paper
no,
too.
that's not what I'm talking about. I'm just saying that
Overall, they're supportive.
county councils, people may have misunderstood, but that we are supportive. So
Thank you.
if we can help, let us know.
Megan?
I'm here for a similar reason, on behalf of Sunbury Revitalization. It is part of our mission statement is historic preservation, and also we just recently passed a historic preservation resolution. So the prison came up as a topic of conversation both at our Old Town meeting and at our board meeting. And we want to say that we hold the position that we would like to see the edifice of the prison maintained. We understand that the use may change. We have no position on what it's used for. We just would like to be able to see that stay as part of the character of the downtown. From, you know, what we've learned over the years, Pennsylvania Downtown Center, why that historic preservation is part of our mission statement is because that character of the downtown is what helps to revitalize the downtown, is to have that character and, you know, maintain those unique properties. So there has been a lot of big outpouring and support, and, you know, we appreciate anything the city council or anybody can help, you know, can do to help support that.
Thank you. Do you have anything else in SRI?
No, not,
Yep.
no.
Okay. Anything else? Yes?
Just real quick, I'd like to compliment Councilman Henry, who's always done a tremendous job of keeping the streets clean. So, we appreciate it.
Now remember that in about 3 months when the snow melts and the potholes are there. That's also Councilman Henry. Remember that. I want to announce again I don't know if we're full or if we just keep putting this on the thing, but the owner-occupied homeowners in need of code compliance improvements to owner-occupied properties, not rentals, in wards 2, 4, 6, and 9. May contact Tim Brickman. There's a phone number. Stop down and see Terry. If you're writing it down right now, it's 570-524-4491. If you just give Tim a call, and you can find out if you have an issue with your home. There may be some grant money available to help you out. So that's wards 2, 4, 6, and 9. Tim Brickley, 570-524-4491. The brush pile, of course, is closed on March 28th, or whenever the snow melts. Meeting with the landlords has been scheduled for February 17th at 6 p.m. Council Chambers. Anything you want to say about that, Rick?
Yeah, it's gonna be nothing more than it's been like a year, a little better than a year, I guess, that the landlord tenant's been in place. And we're just going to meet with the landlord, see if there's any concerns, and give them some tools that we found in the last year, to maybe do some background checks and to better research the tenants before they rent to them and stuff like that. So it's something that's not going to be a cost, because that was one of the major concerns when I came into office that the tenants had, was that they had to pay to do these background searches and stuff like that. We found some things, and so we're gonna go over it at this meeting on the 17th.
Okay.
I just have a quick question.
Yes, ma'am.
The monies available for property needs for the wards that you just mentioned there, was that mentioned in the paper at all? I don't recall seeing that.
I am sure that's been advertised.
I believe this has been a couple-year project, if I'm not mistaken, because I think they went wards 1, 3, 5, and 9 2 years ago or so. When I first started coming to the council meetings, they were 1, 3, 5, and 9, and then that went out, and then they changed to wards. This is not something that's new. This is probably
Right.
better than a year and a half old.
But what I'm saying is, I heard it here at council, but I don't recall seeing it in the paper.
That I don't know.
If
but
Jenny
this-
is here, we can tell, she can tell us, but I'm sure they have to advertise that. So I'm sure that is it in the Sunbury Daily Item, is it in the Milton Standard? I don't know where it's at, but I would be willing to bet that they do advertise it.
And
Okay.
evidently
Because
they have money
standards
left.
Or even if Justin had it in his notes, you know, when he does his little
Yeah,
thing.
Yeah.
he's not here tonight. Okay, I want to thank everybody for coming. This meeting is adjourned. Oh, wait, no.
What you said was on, yeah, that was my heart, I'm listening to it, I'm like, we're just still getting to the heart of the matter, which I want.